Hi, everyone. All right, I'm Lisa Callahan. So nice to be here. If you are watching me live, can you give me a thumbs up? Can you give me some kind of like heart or something just to tell me that I'm not sitting here alone talking to myself? Leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. If you can't hear me for some reason, please let me know. All right, so my name is Coach Lisa Callahan. I am a coach, motivational mindset coach for women who are struggling with emotional eating, who are looking to take a journey of self-discovery to understand the root cause of their emotional eating struggles. I struggled for decades thinking that emotional eating was just about the food. And I kept focusing on the food, focusing on the food. But let me tell you something. That food, it continued to taunt me and haunt me, and it came into my dreams. It invaded every single thought in my mind, and it really felt like it was just the food, and I blamed the food a lot. What I've learned since taking a journey of self-discovery is that emotional eating actually has nothing to do with the food and everything to do with how you feel about yourself from the inside out. So now I teach women all across the globe how to begin to love themselves from the inside out before they ever lose a pound. So we get rid of the scales, we get rid of all the diet rules, we get rid of all of the rights and wrongs, and we just focus inward. Once you can focus inward, I promise you, food will actually become an afterthought because you'll be so focused on yourself that you'll start to get curious about your own habits, your own patterns, your own behaviors, and honestly, your own beliefs about yourself. Because what you're going to learn through taking a journey of self discovery is that you can never outperform your self image. So if you have an image of yourself that says, I can't be trusted, I have no willpower, I'm just one of those people that can't control myself. And if food is something that you want to control, I will shed some light on that. Control is just fear. So now really plug in that word and ask yourself, do I want to chase fear for my whole rest of my life? Probably the answer is no. But before you know any better, you can't do any better. And so I'm going to be here live mostly every Tuesdays at around 1 p.m. And I'm just going to talk about the ways that you can start to embrace a new way of thinking about yourself. So then you can start to free yourself from those food thoughts. So today we're going to talk a little bit about self-love. And this is a topic that you might think is a little bit like foo-foo or woo-woo or whatever. It's like, whatever, Lisa, self-love. I don't have time for that. And if you feel like that, can you just drop me like, I don't know, the number 1 in the chat just to connect a little bit. I used to think that self-love was something like ridiculous. I was like, I don't have to, like, that's so stupid. Like, I'm just me. Like, why would I have to love myself now? Like that, it felt like way too much effort. But the thing is when I was using food in a way that was harmful to me, like literally hurting myself with food to the point where I was nauseous, I'm having regurgitation, my stomach was acidy and uncomfortable, but I like pushed myself through all of that pain just so that I could basically continue to tell myself that I had no willpower. It was like a self-fulfilling prophecy of absolute disgust. And so that's actually self-sabotage. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. So today, we're going to talk about how self-sabotage is really the opposite of self-love. And if you can embrace that love that you have inside for yourself, like it's already there, but sometimes through decades of time, through people telling you that you're not good enough, for mistakes that you made in the past, things where later on you're like, ooh, maybe that wasn't the right way to go. But if you can't forgive yourself, if you can't forgive others, if you are locked in the past, then you're going to find ways to sabotage because it's really easy when you're out of alignment with yourself like that to just distract yourself with thoughts of food. So I'm going to go over a little guide here that I put together. It's actually called the Self-Love Starter Kit. It's out right now, and I'll put in the link here to the video. I'll put the link if anybody wants to grab it. I'm just going to go over it a little bit today. So it's called 10 Steps to Stop Eating Your Heart Out. I really want you to think about that. Like eating your heart out. Like, what does that mean? But I think you might know what it means, because when you're sitting there and you're telling yourself that you're sad, you're lonely, you're bored, you're distracted, you're busy, you don't have a voice, nobody hears you, you feel not welcome. Like, that's your heart. And you want to feel centered, you want to feel wholehearted. But when pieces of your heart are being left all over the place, it feels like food is the thing that's going to like comfort you or soothe you or make you feel whole and good. But it's a trick, because you know that at the end of that, like on the front end, you might be able to convince yourself that food's the thing, that's soothing you. On the back end of it, though, how do you feel? You feel empty. You feel divided. You feel torn. You feel like there's 2 of you or 10 of you. And that's why it eats your heart out. So if you're anything like me, you've probably been struggling with emotional eating for decades. And like me, you might have been chasing many diets that made you feel like a failure, because you were focusing on stuff that doesn't really matter instead of focusing on the only thing that really does matter, which is you. And trust me, I had it all wrong for about 30 years. I was focused on the outside stuff, and I forgot to pay attention to what was going on inside. I spent years feeling quite messy on the outside, although you wouldn't have known it because I acted like I had everything together. And so all of the things that you saw on the outside kind of looked like I was really, pulling it all together. I had this thing about perfectionism, and I felt like I couldn't make a mistake. And so I worked really, really hard at making certain that I never made a mistake, that nobody could ever see a flaw in me, that nobody could ever come back and be like, oh, that Lisa, I really wanted to have this perceived identity of being perfect. So drop me maybe a thumbs up in the comment if you know how that feels to have that much stress and pressure on yourself. Because that, my friends, that's insecurity, that's self-doubt, that's worrying about things that you really can't control, like what someone else thinks about you. If someone else is talking about you, guess what? None of your beeswax. And I didn't know that. Like, I did everything that I possibly could to make sure that I could never enter in a flawed way anybody else's conversations. I thought that I was doing a good job. Turns out not so great. So I want you to start to envision a life for yourself where food does not invade every thought, where you can actually walk past a candy aisle. It was so interesting. The other day I was in the supermarket and I'm just like pleasantly walking down the cereal aisle, down the candy aisle, down the chip aisle. And I know that, the diet rules will tell you to like walk the perimeter. I like walking the aisles, to be honest with you. I really do. I'm not going to buy anything in them. And most of the time, I don't have any packaged food in my house at all. But you know what? I like walking down them. And guess what? I can. Before, it was like as if I held my breath as I'm entering the aisle, because I knew maybe I had to buy, I don't know, cookies for my son or something. I don't know. And I'd be like, okay, I'm going in. And kind of like push myself down the aisle, trying to keep the blinders on. I'm just buying this one thing, put it in the cart. And I felt really uncomfortable. Like getting out the other side of the cookie aisle alive, unscathed, was like a big feat for me. It really was. Like I had it that much in my head that that food was calling my name, screaming at me. I could hear it. And it was telling me, jump in the car and buy me, get me now. You know you can't control yourself. You know you have no willpower. You know you're not good enough. You know there's no way you can get away from me. Like it was talking to me. You know how I feel? Have you ever experienced that? Drop me like a yes in the comment if you know what I'm talking about. So I want you to be able to walk down those aisles if you want to. You can, you can't, it doesn't matter. But I want you to be free. I don't want you to feel like you can't do that or have to walk into the supermarket like armed with like 10,000 rules in your head. Do this, don't do that, do this. I just want you to be free. I want you to be able to also stand in front of the mirror in the morning and not go, oh my God, look at these lines on my face. I'm getting so old. Like my stomach, my thighs, my this, my that. Look at these bat wings. If you're brushing your hair, I don't want you to think, ugh. I don't want you to think that anymore. I want you to be able to also go out to a dinner and not have to be scared, literally like terrified, going, oh gosh, here we go. Joni loves to have 2 wines and I know I'm going to drink 2, or it's going to be that darn bread on the table. Like, I want you to be free to enjoy your friends, your company, whatever, like not worry about it. Like not even, can you imagine going to dinner and not even having to think about anything? And then I want you to also not have to catch yourself thinking about a future version of yourself who does lose weight and then can feel happy. I don't want your future self to only be the one that benefits from you being able to have happiness. Happiness is a choice you make and a skill that you develop. But if you're coming at it from a mindset of, I have no willpower, I'm not good enough, other people are more important than me, I'm too busy to take care of myself. Like if you're coming from that angle, it's going to be really difficult to know that you are worthy of love and belonging and attention. A lot of people don't even want to draw attention to themselves because they're like, oh no, I'm the one in the back. I don't need anything. Well, guess what? You actually do. You actually do. And what you really are going to want to do is start to turn that inside voice, the one who's telling you you can't do it, you're not good enough, you don't deserve it, blah, 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 blah. Turn that volume down. Shh. No more of that. Enough. What I want you to do is I want you to be able to wake up every morning really just bright and knowing that there's a light inside of you, and that if that loud voice who tells you you can't do it, you're not worth it, you're never going to get there, blah, 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 that voice, tell it, no, not today. Use that light inside of you as like a kryptonite, like a weapon, almost like shine the light on it and be like, nope, not today. I want you to think about taking your happy and like spraying that off. Like you don't have to have that anymore, but you're going to have to work at that because self-love is something that you're going to have to want more than you fear what it will look like if you actually love yourself. You have to want it more than you fear it. So can you put in the chat, if you're watching, put love or put love over fear? That would be a good thing. All right, so let's go ahead and start with these 10 steps. Step 1, I want you to think about being proactive instead of reactive. When you are afraid of something and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, I can't do it. That's not me. I have no willpower. And you start off from like the underneath the water, submarine view. Yeah, everything's going to feel cloudy and clogged and whatever. You don't have any insights to go off of. It's almost as if you decided to take a bike ride with a deflated tire. I want you to pump yourself up. So when you're proactive, you start to create a buffer between the things that trigger you, like when you're out at that supermarket and those, aisles in the candy and whatever's calling your name, and that's a trigger. So when you're in that space, if you have this buffer, which is a proactive, responsible mindset for yourself. And let me just back up for a minute. Responsibility is merely your ability to respond to yourself with love and kindness. That's it. So when you do that, you're going to start to proactively begin to do exactly what I said before. Start to wake up in the morning with that brightness. And anytime you hear those cloudy, cloggy voices from the back that seem really freaking loud, you're just going to change the tune. You're going to turn down the volume on all of the negative stuff, and you're going to shine that light brightly on yourself. And I'm going to give you one simple phrase to say. I deserve to be happy. And if you can say that 10 times the minute you wake up in the morning. Now, here's another thought. Writing stuff is a really good idea. So take a notepad by your bed. Write, I deserve to be happy. And then write the numbers 1 through 10. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is you open your eyes and you look at that notepad. Before you get out of bed, before you go to the bathroom, before you do anything, period, just grab that notepad and at least write one time, right? Just to get yourself going. One time. I deserve to be happy. And this is a thought also. Put a little pot of water next to your bed or some kind of cup or something. Just write this. I deserve to be happy. That's a seed. You're planting it. And then you don't have to write the 10 of them at that moment, because I know, morning, you might want to get out of bed. You might not want to sit there and write 10 times, but just write it once. But have the other, 9 available, so that way you'll do it throughout the day. It's going to be your new job. Before you go to bed, you're going to write, I deserve to be happy 10 times. Just write it once, and then look at your cup of water and feel like you just planted a seed, and now you're watering it. Take that sip. I don't care. It doesn't have to be like a guzzle of drink. I get it. You're just waking up. Just take a sip. One sip of water. I just watered my seed. So you planted a seed and then you watered it. And then what do you have to do? Shine the light. So then just for one breath, just like you're breathing in the light of the morning, even if it's 5 a.m., even if it's not light out, it's okay. The light's inside of you. Just go like this. So now you have planted the seed. I deserve to be happy. You have taken one sip of water. You have watered your little seed, and you have breathed in some light. And that's step 1. Now, this whole guide here, this self-love starter kit, there's 10 steps. I'm just going to give you one today because I want to keep this video sort of short. And if you want the rest of the 10 steps, the rest of the 9 steps, I just gave you step 1, proactive instead of reactive. That's your step 1. And then if you want to grab the self-love starter kit, go ahead and grab it. Or if you're watching this and it's past already or whatever, just go ahead and send me a DM, Coach Lisa Callahan. Send me a message and just say, hey, Coach Lisa, I want the self-love starter kit. And then I'll send it right out to you. All right. I will talk to you guys soon. I'll see you. I'm going to try and make these videos like every Tuesday at about 1 p.m. All right. Bye for now.